Have you ever been at an airport for a very, very long time, to the point where they may have almost canceled your flight? Well, that's pretty much what I went through, and I would like to tell my story about it because, of course, as everybody knows, you know, the whole TSA stuff, blah, blah, blah. Let's just say that me getting out of Orlando was an absolute nightmare. Let's start off here with this. First things first, main reason as to why I was trying to get so much stuff out in terms of content was because during the weekend, Friday, Monday, I was going away for a mini trip onto Florida. I had a couple of family stuff events there. Not going to go too much into personal detail, but basically it was a very fun and amazing trip down there, especially seeing a bunch of family who I haven't seen in a couple of years. That was the fun part though, but not the part where you leave. Whenever it means you leave, well, that means an airplane. Experience at Orlando International Airport was just one that I have never ever gone through, and I have never ever experienced in my life until now. With my sister, I was stuck at Orlando International Airport, MCO, for I want to say 9 to 10 hours. 9 to 10 hours. You might be wondering, Larlar, holy crap, like 9 to 10 hours. Yes, absolutely. Let's go ahead and paint the picture here a little bit. In Orlando, especially at the time, there were a bunch of potential thunderstorms in the area. And obviously, you know, a plane, you know, you got to be cautious about that. So that was very much understood. And before I left wherever I was, I got a notification that my flight was delayed by an hour and 15 minutes. 4:45, I want to say. That was the beginning of, at the time I did not know, of a very big nightmare. Because at the time I was like, okay, well, it's just going to be one delay, right? Nope. Nope. Not at all. We get to the airport, we go through security, and it was, you know, it was a very seamless. I've just seen a bunch of videos and pictures about US airports being so crazy right now. And honestly, at MCO that day, it was not to the extent where security takes like almost an hour. No, not like that. Thankfully, not like that. Goodness gracious. Looking at the messages, mind you, flight was supposed to leave at 2:30. And then the morning of that day, flight was then delayed to 3:45 p.m. Again, as I said before earlier, I thought that was just going to be just one delay. And then it delayed again to 4:15 p.m. before we get to the airport. And then it gets delayed again another 30 minutes to 4:45 p.m. Again, this is all before I get to the airport. This delay at 4:45 was sent at 1:14, which was basically I was on my way to the airport. We get to the airport, I'm trying to go into the United Lounge, but it looked like one time passes you couldn't go in. I didn't understand it, but apparently it was because it was too full. So we sat at the gate. We got 2 seats in a rather full gate, and we sat there and we just started to wait. I've only flown United. I will also only fly United because personally I've had good experiences with them. This is probably one of the only few instances where I will say that it was probably their fault, but I'll get into that in a little bit. I had a bad time with American Airlines. Jet, I will say though, I haven't had a bad experience with JetBlue. I haven't flown AA or Delta, so I can't exactly say, but United hasn't done me dirty, probably other than this one time. Delta is good? Okay. Around the time when we get to our gate, we started noticing that the thunderclouds were coming. It was a huge delay with weather in Orlando, but it was also a delay with weather here in Jersey. It was kind of like a two-way side kind of thing as to why there was a delay. Actually, I have not said this yet, but the flight that is supposed to be our plane that is coming from wherever it was coming from is delayed because of the thunderstorms going into Orlando. So our plane that we are supposed to get on later is not even here at the gate yet. That's one thing to realize. Okay. Which is why we were delayed pretty badly at first. At 4:08, it was then said that the flight is now going to depart at 5:30. So 5:30, and that was sent at 4 o'clock. I was okay in terms of me potentially being a little feisty with my patience, but obviously a lot of other people didn't exactly have the same idea. Shout out though the United workers who were there. 8:40 on March 16th. Those 2 people, there was a guy and a woman. You guys absolutely held down that gate, and it was so good that no one exactly had an outburst toward them. They just kept answering question after question after question, and they just had to keep answering, giving answer after answer after answer with things that wasn't even in their control. So I really have to say to those United employees, thank you so much, because I don't know how they did that. Shout out those two people, because they kept taking question after question, and thank God that there was no big outburst. They kept getting question after question because we heard that because people are getting a little antsy in terms of when we get out of here, people are trying to move their flight from, I was leaving Monday to Wednesday, because every Tuesday flight to Newark was full. So basically, if you had to stay in Orlando and you couldn't leave with this plane that was coming, this flight, you would have to wait a couple of days, and the next time you would be able to fly is Wednesday, because that's the next day where flights are open, which is crazy to me. Just another couple of tidbits here to help try to paint the picture of what was going on. We continue to wait. We start noticing that the clouds and the thunderstorms were starting to clear up a little bit. You know, it wasn't as bad as it was around that time. We start now going, and we're still waiting for our flight. It wasn't until probably about 5 o'clock where it looked like the clouds, there were still a bunch of like dark clouds in the area, but it wasn't raining to the point where it was terrible to go fly out there. And there was a huge announcement coming from one of the United workers, as I was talking about. He said, all right, guys, thing is though, all right, the plane that was delayed in getting here is now here at the gate. So the flight from before, that is our plane that we're supposed to get on, did land safely. Then he said, the thing is though, yeah, we have the plane, but we don't got a pilot. I'm like, what do you mean we don't have a pilot? You don't have a pilot? There's no one to fly this plane. How is that possible? Now, I do not know the airport logistics. Maybe if you want to correct me, if anything, please go ahead and do so. I don't know. Okay. Basically, apparently because of other delays with other flights and other airlines and everything else, there was a mix up with something. I just don't know what it was. Diversions, a lot of them with flights. And because of that, we needed a new pilot. And this pilot had to come to Orlando. The thing is, that was going to take probably another hour to 2 hours. And so I'm like sitting here, I'm like, how in the world do we not have a pilot right now? Like, how is that possible? Don't worry, I'll fly it. No, it was so funny because I called one of my family members down there, and she was like, why don't you fly it? I'm like, they'll need to pay me first, and they'll need to show me everything. But yeah, I didn't understand the whole logistics regarding that entire thing. But they just basically told us that we just had no pilot, so we have to wait for a new pilot to come to Orlando, and boom, there you go. We would have a pilot, and then we're good to go. Right, amazing. Obviously the restlessness is starting to build up here just a little bit, because I just didn't understand why there was no pilot. Just doesn't make any sense, you know? We keep waiting. That announcement, by the way, of no pilot was 5 o'clock. So we kept waiting. It's about 7 o'clock now at this point. The pilot arrives, so you would think that we leave. But then another announcement was made. The same guy. All right, guys, I have good news, but I also got bad news. The good news is we have a pilot. The bad news is, because there's still a couple of diversions that were because of other flights that were also delayed, we do not have a flight crew. So we need some flight attendants come now here to this gate. We already have some flight attendants on their way, but the thing is, they're going to be coming in from Fort Lauderdale, which is going to take another hour to another hour and a half. I just don't expect you guys, unfortunately, be out of here until about 10 o'clock p.m. What do you mean? What do you mean, dude? What are you talking about? So again, I don't understand the logistics. I don't know who at United messed up. I don't know who at the airport messed up. But somehow when the pilots came, we all of a sudden had no crew, no flight attendants. I'm like, how is that possible? How is this possible? Again, I don't know who to blame. Let's just say I'm going to partially put the blame on the airport, MCO, and I'll partially put the blame on United. I have no idea. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But basically, somehow we had no pilots. Now we have pilots, but now we don't have a flight crew. We don't have flight attendants. Amazing. Incredible. So, mind you, we were supposed to leave at 2:30 p.m. It is now 7 o'clock p.m. And so now, this is when my restlessness starts to show. I'm like to my sister, look, go ahead and get some food. I think the only thing open there at MCO, there was a Chinese restaurant at the gates that closed early because they ran out of food. Apparently. But obviously after that announcement, everyone starts getting more and more anxious about when they are actually leaving. And people was like, oh, nah, dude, we can't stay here. We can't stay here. People lined up to potentially get their flights changed through Wednesday. Remember, Tuesday, they can't change it to Tuesday. There's no open flights there. Every flight to Newark is full on Tuesday. So the next flight over is Wednesday. Everyone starts doing that. Everyone starts asking questions. Basically out of the people's control. Out of those two United people, the man and woman, again, they held it down. They start answering questions. They keep going, blah, 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 blah. And so now we have to wait for flight attendants. We just kept waiting and waiting. And it wasn't until about a little over 10 p.m. we start noticing people. Start noticing flight attendant. And so the woman comes up to us because there was also this other woman across from us who we started talking to a little bit, just trying to, get our feelings out and whatnot about this whole entire situation. And she comes up to us saying that, oh, this is potentially our crew, but they need to approve a bunch of things first. I'm like, okay, sure. But I told the woman, I really hope so. And she was like, I hope so too. The moment arrived. She gets on the PA and she says, 8:40, I swear this is it. We are officially starting boarding now. And everyone starts clapping their ass. Bro, everyone starts laughing, hearing. I immediately get my stuff and we start boarding, bro. We start boarding after close to 9 hours, now pretty much 9 hours at this point. After waiting at that same gate, staying in the same seat, we officially start boarding probably around 10:15 p.m. Officially. I will show pictures in regards to what I saw. Check out MCO at, what time was this at? 1:52 p.m. at MCO. Take a look at this. This was everything there. Look at all that red. All that red equals you got canceled or it was delayed. It felt amazing to be on that plane. Here's the thing though, the delays and whatnot, the craziness of that day did not finish there. So we get on this flight, it officially takes off. Huge sigh of relief. Huge sigh of relief. We are officially in the air. We're officially going home. And guess what? Back in Jersey, around the Newark area, you were told there's bad weather. The pilot basically tells us, hey, there is a very good chance that we're going to have to stay in the air here for a little bit longer because of the weather in Jersey. So guess what this guy did? This guy went loop-de-loop with the plane. Look, I've never had that happen before. He looped with the plane to delay the fact that we are getting there because of the weather in Jersey. So because of that, we were in the air for an extra about 20 to 25 minutes. But let me tell you, those loop-de-loops and the descent down, oh boy, never again. Please don't do that ever again. Anyone who doesn't know me, I am not great with heights. I am terrified with that. But going on a plane has been better for me overall, especially over the past couple of years. I've flown a little bit more than I thought it would be, but it's been fun, but it's also been, a little bit of a learning curve for me. Also because I get motion sickness very easily. But the descent down after the loopy-loops because of the fact that Newark weather was terrible. Oh man, never again. I don't want to ever do that ever again. I've never had that happen before. So yeah, I hope has anyone else had that happen before? Because man, that's crazy. But we were able to land safely despite the fact that the descent down was very, very rocky. But we got home officially. Want to know the time we got home? 2 a.m. 2 a.m. So that, chat, is basically the main reason as to why the past couple of days since I've gotten back has been terrible. Because ever since that day, Monday, it's been a roller coaster of emotions, aka I just felt so lazy to the point where I didn't give a fuck as to what was going on right now. I told myself, all right, well, I gotta make a content schedule. Yeah, but I don't really feel like editing right now because I still feel from the previous day. That's basically how it happened. But anyone who doesn't know, now you know. It was absolutely crazy going through that entire thing, especially when you see everything in the news about how airports are right now. Crazy. All I will say is good luck. And all I will say is also, if you are traveling via plane, bro, just be there early and just be careful, because if you get delayed, oh man, it's not fun at all. It's not ever fun. So that is the story about my close to 10-hour delay for a flight in Orlando. There you go. Oh man, what a crazy turn of events.
2 hours later.
No compensation for the delayed flights. Actually, here's the one thing I completely forgot to mention earlier in the in the story. I completely forgot to mention this. You want to know what United gave us as compensation? Thank you for bringing this up, actually, by the way. Completely forgot. United gave us a $15 meal voucher. That was it. That was the one thing that honestly pissed me off earlier, because I had not had an issue with United ever until Monday. A $15 voucher for a 2-hour, not even a 2-hour flight, for a meal voucher that was supposed to expire the next day. Let me show you this. Let's show you this. So it says, we're sorry about the changes to your travel plans. We'd like to help by providing a meal voucher for everyone on your trip. So it's good for food and drinks and a one-time use. And the voucher is a credit card, blah, blah, blah. There you go. $15 for a meal voucher, right? And the date under it, this date right here, is the day it expires, aka the next day. It says redeem by single use. They basically gave us a meal voucher for the next day, and I'm all like, you might as well just keep it. You might as well just keep it. I don't know, I completely forgot to mention that in the story earlier. My goodness, I'm so sorry. But basically, thank you for bringing it up. I would have wanted upgraded seats or something. I would have said the same thing, but it is what it is at this point. Whatever. So I have not had an issue with them at all. But that was kind of crazy. That was crazy, man. The fact that they gave us a $15 meal voucher for something that expires the next day? Come on, man. Seriously. Like, come on. Like, I'm flying out somewhere that I will reveal much later on. Why don't you just make this thing, like, good for a whole year or something? I don't know. Like, give me something. But yeah, that was that.